Mr. Delvin Rogers, he is an educator. Again, I left my bio, but he'll share about himself. He's an educator, and his work is going into the communities, into schools, speaking to teens, especially young men, about being calm, understanding how to process your emotions and not retaliate and respond with violence. Anger management is an overarching theme, but he goes into several other aspects of it. And his focus, again, is to help you understand how we can communicate effectively without using violence, without using our hands. So before I bring him up, I need the three young people that just spoke earlier, you know who you are, to stand up for me. Mr. Darling, could you identify the ones that spoke? Okay, good. So there you go. Thank you for participating. You participate, you get goodies. There you go. You're an adult, right? You're not a child. No, I'm just going to give you one. You might have a child somewhere. Just do some cute shades. Awesome. So without any further ado, I bring up Mr. Delvin Rogers.
Wait.
Oh, no, this one. Oh, stop it. Oh, battery?
Yeah. All right, cool. All right. Parents, how we doing? Good? All right. Kids, how we doing? Good. So listen, before I start, because I know that you guys have seen that the chicken and the biscuits and the sweet tea has arrived, so I'll try and keep it steady, right? So we can eat. So a little bit about myself. So Dr. George, she gave you a little bit, but I'm a school teacher. I teach basic skills and communications at Franklin Academy, K through 8. And a little bit about what that is. So basic skills and communications. I teach kids, about the importance of reading, writing, and communicating effectively. That's a passion of mine because we know, again, with social media, kids communicate through social media and not direct contact and interaction, right? And also, I have an LLC where I speak with kids about anger management. Now, we know that in communities, this particular subject is not being talked about enough when it comes to anger management. So I'm a stickler for not only talking to our young men, but our young ladies as well about how to have self-control, emotional intelligence, coping skills, conflict resolution. Conflict resolution, that's a big thing in our schools because we know kids like to joke about other kids who may not have the same things that they have, and that's a hurtful feeling. And it can escalate from just talking about somebody's shoes to an all-out fight because you don't know how to solve a conflict, so it's best to just get along with people, understand those type of tools, and then you can have a productive lifestyle. So as Dr. George said, I was supposed to do a breakout session, so my PowerPoint was a little more intimate for the kids, but I'll get right into it. So I wanted to talk about emotional abuse, right? So having those conversations, understanding that, again, words do hurt, right? So what is the emotional abuse? Emotional abuse is non-physical behaviors that are meant to control, isolate, or frighten you. So things that are said that will scare the life out of you to where you're just isolated, you're withdrawn from everybody that you know because what that person is saying to you is scaring you just that much to where you feel as though I can't make a move because they may do something that may make them angry. And again, that goes back to what I talk about with the young men and that self-control and that anger, right? So what is physical abuse? We know that physical abuse is an intentional act causing injury or trauma to another person, right? So we see that a lot with the younger people, with physical abuse, like Dr. Sherry said, it starts out small, with the hair pulling or a shove, and then it gets to something deeper, right? So we need to start knowing the meanings and how to recognize these different things, right? So The conversation, let me slide so you guys can see. So before I start this particular slide, I want to throw a word out to the young people. What does grooming mean to you guys? Have you ever heard of the word grooming? What does that mean to you?
Take care of yourself.
Okay. Grooming. When it comes to emotional abuse, physical abuse, when you hear the word grooming, other than a haircut or your shoes or anything like that, what does the word grooming mean to you?
Controlling your emotions.
Yeah. Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Not quite. When you hear about abuse and physical abuse and emotional abuse, but you hear the word grooming, preparing, right? Okay, so mom said preparing. So let me give you the definition of that. So grooming in this case is a predatory act or manipulating someone into having or being more isolated, dependent, and vulnerable to abuse. So when we hear the word grooming, right? Quick story. Now, this doesn't just affect young ladies, it also affects young men. So a couple of weeks ago on the news, we had a security guard. I don't know the gentleman, but he had been a security guard at the school maybe under 2 years, right? But he was arrested and accused of grooming. Right, grooming a young lady, giving her, little gifts, this, that, and the other. And like, Dr. Sherry said, it starts with small stuff, right? So he was, charged with, I don't know the correct term, officers or whatever, but, that's what was said. He was, arrested and, charged with grooming the young lady, right? Giving her little gifts and things like that, but it turns into something else because once you start accepting that, now I need you to do this and do that, And the girl, she was a 10th grader, I want to say 15, and he's well in his late 30s, so that's how it starts. But young ladies, don't think it's just you, young men, because there have been some cases to where security guards have groomed young men, so you're not exempt, but you have to really be headstrong and know who you are not to go for that particular bait, because some people are hired and some people take jobs just to do certain things. Now, as a security guard, his job position is to make sure you're safe, not have sidebar conversations or I have your number to start texting you. You're the security guard of the school, right? So when you hear that word grooming, that's what I mean, right? So the conversation of facts and stats. Now, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced some form of physical violence by an intimate partner, right? This includes a range of behaviors in some cases might not be considered domestic violence, but 1 in 10 women have been sexually assaulted by an intimate partner, right? Now, nearly half of all women, let's say 48%, and men, 48.8% in the United States experience psychological aggression by an intimate partner in their lifetime. Now, we see those numbers. Now, you see men, you see where you are, right? We think when we hear about physical abuse, emotional abuse, you look directly at the ladies, but statistically, men's numbers are up there, right? So we want to pay close attention to that. Signs and scenarios, what to look for, how to go about seeing what's going on and how you should handle that, right? So physical abuse in relationships can involve kicking, hitting, grabbing, pinching, shoving, slapping, biting. And then we know that some cases, the women or the men deny medical care, because you're just that gone. But if somebody is slapping you, kicking you, biting you, hitting you, we know that it shouldn't even get that far. The first time they kick you, there's no excuse for that. So it shouldn't get to the part where I have to tell the police officers or medical staff no, I'm okay. I'll self-treat myself. The moment he or she kicks you, that should tell you something right there. That's not the person for you. But in your head, you want to deny it. This is just that one time. It'll be okay. They're not going to do it again. Or he may tell you, I'm going through a lot at work, or school is really tough. I didn't mean to do it. But that's one time. And the kick did some damage to you. Because if somebody picks up listen, you got to do this and then swing. Right? That takes a little effort. It takes effort. You know what I mean? It's not I stuck my foot out, I clipped you a little bit. No, I picked my leg up and swung. Right? So the cycle of abuse scenarios can be categorized in 3 stages. So we've seen this before. A battered person feels like they're walking on eggshells. I don't want to make her mad. I don't want to make her mad, so I won't say nothing, So that just means you're extremely cautious what you're about to say, how you're going to act around that person. But then at the same time, you're losing yourself still because you're not who you are, because you're just tiptoeing and not wanting to make that person mad, but you're losing yourself as you're doing that, right? Second one is the actual explosion phase where the physical abuse occurs. We know it can last for a few minutes or several hours, but again, it should not even get to that point where it's any minutes or any hours, right? Now this last one is where you get caught up, right? So we're talking about the honeymoon phase, right? Everything is so cool, kissy face and this, that, and other. But once that dies down, because sadly, statistics says it has proven that stage can last for a year or 2 and then it goes dead, right? So it's a time of idolization where partners ignore red flags and are blind to each other's flaws, right? But something had to have been there before that honeymoon stage that you just chose to ignore, right? Because we're in love, we're about to get married, yeah, he slapped me when we were dating, but that was just one time. But now we're in that honeymoon phase, and then that's kind of dwindling down, and our feelings are not the same towards each other. And now I'm seeing him being more verbal abusive, and now it's kicked up a notch to, he punched me the other day. So again, those scenarios that you have to watch out for. Now, emotional abuse, the cycles of self-reflection, right? So emotional abuse can happen in any relationship, anyone, especially between partners or family members. It includes verbal abuse, threats, restricting your freedom. No, you can't go anywhere where you think you're going. You getting dressed. You're not going nowhere. Did I tell you can go somewhere? Stuff like that. You know what I mean? Threats. You leave this house, I'm going to shoot you. And then I know where your mom lives. All type of nonsense, right? So to heal from that cycle of emotional abuse is giving yourself the same level of compassion, kindness. You have to find yourself. You have to find yourself. You can't get caught up with, I'm going to continue to let him talk to me any kind of way, call me ugly, you stupid. You have to find your safe place and find out who you are, right? You just can't settle. He got a lot of money. He bought me a bag, but he also slapped me in the face. But I got this nice Louis bag. Which one do you want? Because it's not going to stop there. He may continue to go ahead and buy you those nice items, but now your face all dismembered. Nobody recognize you. You haven't seen your family in months because you're afraid to show them how you really look, right? Yes.
Can a person's own mental thoughts lead to emotional abuse too because of how they feel when they think of another person's feelings, they put their feelings before theirs?
Yeah, because again, you have to dig down deep and find out who you are. Don't allow the situation that you're in to just take over. You know what I mean? Because once you become isolated, that you're no longer yourself. They've become, they've taken over your lifestyle, your entire world, right? Because you haven't broken away from everything that you're enduring. So you're just letting things happen, right? So, so it's good to, again, and this is what I tell the young men when I talk about anger management, self-control, conflict resolution, stuff like that. When you, because emotional intelligence, that's nothing more than you being intelligent enough to know what your emotions are at different times, because we all get emotional for different reasons, right? But it's okay to talk to a trusted friend, family member, teacher, or a counselor. I know you guys have a favorite teacher at school, or a favorite counselor, or somebody that you can talk to. And it's okay to open up, for guys especially. Guys like to be macho. I don't want to talk to nobody. I'm gonna just handle it on my own, stuff like that. It's okay to talk. That don't make you soft, less of a man. At least you're getting things out, because let's say you do get in a relationship. You got so much harbored within you. You're not talking to anybody. But the moment somebody make you mad, you're taking it out on them, because you haven't had time to talk to somebody, letting out your feelings. You could even talk to the person you're with. Talking with your fists, that's something different. Y'all can have an intelligent conversation, but again, like Dr. Sherry said, social media. You guys have allowed you've allowed social media space to come into your life, because you put everything on there. I don't like him, I don't like her, he did this, did that. Nobody want to hear that. So again, that's a good first start in seeking the help that you need, right? So the writing on the wall, the signs, everything on the wall, it's there. You don't see it. You don't want to see it, right? So writing on the wall is an idiom, which means to be aware that something will probably happen soon, but choosing to ignore those signs, right? So emotional abuse can be insidious, since it encompasses any kind of abuse that isn't physical. There are a variety of behaviors that fall under that umbrella. It can range from subtle things like criticism. You know, I don't like the way you're wearing your shoes today. Your makeup is off. That lipstick don't even match with your face. People are critical. People talk. This is what it is. Them boots, you might as well throw them back in the closet. I don't know why you wearing them. Those J's, nah. Them ain't it. That's what y'all say, right? That ain't it. Right? So, criticism. To be more destructive abuse, like manipulation. I'm going to get her to do this. I'm going to get him to do that. And again, fellas, you may be a regular dude. You may love young ladies. You may be attracted to this young lady. But it's people out there that are manipulative. And especially, again, unfortunately, people in the school system. Security guards, teachers, whatever the case is. And you think, okay, well, I'm a straight dude, so I ain't even worried about what he talking about. But they real manipulative, and they'll have you doing stuff, because, again, it starts with, I'm going to buy him something. Then I'm going to have him doing this, doing that. Next thing you know, y'all texting late night. Now, you the straight guy. He the teacher. How is this happening? You know what I'm, but it's all manipulation, right? Listen, I'm just looking at you, man. I'm not saying this is you. You know what I mean? Because I'm either looking at you or looking at him. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that's you, right? So intimidations, because it can go from manipulation to intimidation, right? Because now he got you. I bought him some stuff, you know what I mean? And I want him to do some stuff, but he backing away from doing what I told him to do. So now I'm going to use what I know against him. Yes?
And then you're saying like the security and so, but it's in families too.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah, especially with that manipulation, yes. Intimidation, bribery. You know what I mean? So it is important to be able to recognize the signs and understand how and why abusers deploy them, so you can restore your own sense of self and start to get out of that abusive situation. So all that says this, know who you are, know yourself. You got to know yourself first and foremost. If you don't know yourself, you will fall victim to everything that's up here. So it starts right there. You know, it's okay to like somebody, but do you know yourself first before you get into a situation? So just look for all those signs. All right, final tips and takeaways. So again, like I just said, knowing your worth, self-worth. Self-worth is a person's internal sense of their value and worthiness. So you got to feel as though, I'm worthy. I'm not going to let somebody come into my space and trick me out of my bag. You got things you need to do. You got goals that you need to take care of or whatever. Grades. Worry about that first. Because that's your worthiness. I can't let somebody come into my space, right? And then now my grades slipping. Now my thoughts of going to college are no more because I'm so wrapped up in that person. And that person is not good for me in the first place, but I don't see it, right? I'm blind to it, right? So your security, self-love, resilience, character. Character is super important. That's you. Your character is you. And people watch that. Your character plays a big role in who you are, right? Self-compassion and confidence. You got to have confidence. Got to have it. You don't have that self-esteem, it goes lower and lower because, again, you don't know who you are. You got to have that confidence. Okay, I'm going to walk in a room, you know what I mean? People going to see me. They're going to gravitate towards me because I'm that person. I'm that guy. You know what I mean? And you want to have your shoulders squared and you want to walk. You know what I mean? You know how y'all do. You got on a fresh new pair of Jordans. You want to walk. I got that confidence. I got that good character. I'm not going to let nobody, you know what I mean, come into my space and take over because they've manipulated me, intimidated me or whatever. Block that off. All right? And build relationships with people who value you. If you got that good girlfriend who is always talking behind your back and stuff like that, get out of here. You know what I mean? That dude who don't like your swag and how you do your thing, man, block him off. You need a few friends. You don't need a whole lot of friends. A few. Me, I have 2 friends. I've known them for 30 years. That's the only 2 friends I got. You may get some people that come into your circle or whatever, but you keep them at a distance. Keep them at a distance. And you want to be observant, right? You want to be very observant. Watch how they move. Because they may have some things going on that you don't particularly, do. You don't swing like that. You know what I mean? So you keep them at a distance. You do your thing over here, I'm over here, right? You don't want no interruptions, right? So building your mental health refers to positive qualities and abilities that contribute to your overall mental well-being and resilience, right? So you want to have strong mental health, personal growth, and seek support when needed. Support is all around you. It's all around. Don't try and think that you can do everything on your own. Talk to somebody. Communicate. If you don't talk, nobody knows what you're going through. And one thing that I will say that coincides with everything that everybody has talked about, it's best to find that trusted person within your circle, that favorite teacher, your mom, dad, whomever. Because once you stay locked out from people that are supportive of you, and then you go to social media and you talking to that person, because I told this story a couple of weeks ago to a group. You shut everybody else out, but then you go to social media and start talking to people, and how social media is now, you don't know who you're talking to. You have no idea. And I think I frightened a young man when I told him this. I said, listen, man, you don't talk to your mom, dad, or a trusted person, but you hop on the net, and then you talking to somebody, but you think it's Sarah, and she's the same age as you, and y'all having a full-on conversation. You telling her about your life and what you're going through at home or whatever, and you think it's Sarah, but it's Johnny. 35-year-old Johnny. And y'all been talking. Now, not only that, here's where it goes from there. Now y'all done talked so much to where y'all decided to meet. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now y'all gonna meet up. Now first of all, you gonna meet up, but you're going to do something that's out of your character because you're sneaking out. So you done snuck out, right? To meet Sarah, who's Johnny, right? So y'all meet up. Now the situation is taking a hard left because now you in a situation to where now you guys have met up. And now you don't know what to do, but you're the child. So you stuck.
Don't they like do a video call before that?
To be honest, I mean, you would have to tell me because I don't do none of that. But video call, perhaps. I don't know what it is that you guys do in terms of like social media or if you're talking to somebody on a particular site. Do you video call? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, but you so infatuated quick because this conversation is dope. We talking about some stuff. And we know, it only take a few conversations to where now it's hiked up to something else. We gonna get down. I don't want to, say too much, but now it's taking another notch to where now y'all gonna get physical. But you turn up, and this is not Sarah. This is a guy. Or the young ladies, you thinking you're talking to a 16-year-old Derek or whatever, and it's 45-year-old Henry. And you sneak out also, and you meet up, but you're a child. You really don't know what to do. Yes.
As a Broward County teacher of 32 years, I often tell my students, it's those things that you don't really pay attention to, and predators online look for the small cracks in the armor, and they give you what you're missing when you speak to them. And you are so engulfed in what you want to hear that you miss that red flag that's right there in front of you. So we need to be very, very mindful of the information that we give out about ourselves and to whom we're giving that to.
All right. Yes.
Locations. A lot of these apps have locations on them, and our youth are targeted, and the predators are already riding around your neighborhood. They know where you live because your location is on, because you want to post where you are at that moment, because you want them to know this is what you're out doing. You're at the mall, you're at the extreme, you're wherever you are, you're out of the country, then your home is left vulnerable because you have posted where you are, your location is on, and it's the hidden clauses behind each app that you don't know that's tracking.
Right.
And the information that's being shared. So anytime you post anything, they are using your information and recycling it, and these people, they see too. They know exactly where you are, and you don't even know it. I put on the Snapchat app, and you see that my friend right here is next to me. How do I know they're right here next to me? So you guys have to pay attention,
Yeah.
and adults too, to the apps and the location monitoring, because they know where you're at all times.
Yeah.
So if the app knows, and what about the person that's behind the scene that's not supposed to be on there, or the predator, because there's no clause where it says sex offenders or sexual predators can't be on social media.
All right.
All they have to do is register, but besides that, they're still on there. They're still after our youth, men, little young men and young women.
Right.
And they both are targets.
Right. And the thing is, with all of these different apps, and you guys know all of the different apps. When you say it, I don't really recognize it. I only know IG, Facebook, TikTok. That's it. But you guys have 1,000 apps. But these predators know how to get in that and disguise, as a 14-year-old boy, as a 16-year-old girl. They play it well, And not only apps, parents, we got to monitor video games. Also, when you can play against people or play online against people. Now, it was a situation, this happened last year. So this young girl, 15, I believe, playing Call of Duty. You guys are familiar with that, right? So playing Call of Duty, you can play online against people. You don't know who they are, but I think there's a little icon that shows your picture. But you're talking to them, no? But you're talking to the person though, right? So you're talking to the person. So this 15-year-old, she's playing against who she thought was, I don't know what name the guy used, but they're playing. This goes on for months, right? But it changed from playing video games to a different type of conversation while playing, but the conversation switched from video game and I can do this many kills and shoot this person to let's meet. I'm in love with you. This is the gentleman now, to the point where she lived in Florida, he lived in Ohio. He drove all night and came and picked her up and drove back to Ohio with her. I don't know where the parents are. I don't know what's going on, but it turns out, you know, the parents reported her missing the next day, right? And then Ohio police, of course, went to the house, approached the guy. The guy is like, yes, this is my girlfriend. Full out. We're together, right? So I'm just saying, think about your parents or being a father and what kind of conversation are we going to have when you get home? Because I'm never going to be the same. And the guy, I want to rip your head off. Honestly speaking, I don't. But so you gotta be mindful of whatever. Be mindful of who you are first, though. That's my gift to you guys. Be mindful of who you are. You know what type of person you are. Value yourself. Don't get caught up in words. Everybody can say something slick. Everybody can say, you know, you're beautiful, you know this, you're that, you know, let me buy you this bag. You don't need that bag. Buy your own bag. Because you accept that bag, it's going to turn into something else. Then it's going to turn into words. Then I'm going to hit you one time because I know I can because you still here with me. Fellas, I'm looking at the both of you, man. I'm not just looking at you. Fellas, same thing. Don't get caught up. Don't think because it's a female and we dating, females slap dudes up too. You know who you are. But what I'm saying is, you don't have to hit her back though. Walk off. Right? Self-control. Because again, now you hit her back and it's going into something else. Officers may be able to put it in perspective or whatever. But if she have, like a mark, she just hit you and you telling the story, but she got the mark, more than likely, you going. You know what I mean? So that's my time for today. I wanted to talk to you guys about the emotional abuse with a little bit of anger and self-control. Again, this is what I talk about on a daily basis with the young men, young women. They have to start knowing about how to have self-control. How to have self-control. Because again, everything today is, I want to shoot you. I'm angry, so I'm going to shoot. And then I'll deal with the consequences later. But at the same time, we losing our young men and women because you shoot, you kill, everybody loses. That family who, the victim, they're no longer here. Now you got to do time. And the family does time with you. So nobody wins, right? So, again, I thank you guys for having me and listening. Again, I know you guys smell like chicken. I try not to keep you too long. Yes?
My dad told me to think about the consequences that come with your actions.
What I tell the young people, process. Process everything that's going on around you. If you see a young lady, she talking about your shoes, this, that, and other, go that way. Just slap her. See, when you do that, you're starting off wrong. Because if you slap her, she slap you, now it's a fight. But let's say you push her, she fall back, she hit her head on the table. It's small things. It's small things. All right? Yeah. Yeah. Listen, real quick. I promise you I'm done. So, I'm going to say young lady, right? Because you're young. So real quick. So the capture of the cell phone, you guys need to stop doing it. Stop doing it. Now, real quick story. So I worked with this group some months ago, right? It's like a Miami-Dade Police Department. It's a turnaround program, right? So it was a large group like you guys, 15, 16, 17-year-olds. So I'm telling stories and stuff like that, but I told them, if I talk about a story and it directly affects you or it has something to do with a family member or whatever, I'll stop because I don't want to disrespect, anyone. So the thing was, it was a fight at a basketball game. The basketball game was over 2 hours prior to this incident. So it was at Miami Northwestern. And it was 2 boys, and then it was a group of girls. The girls, of course, recording. Now, these 2 young men, he's right there, I'm right here. Now, the girl is saying, what y'all gonna do? Y'all need to hurry up. Now, for them to say that, and the time it took for these young men to start fighting, they don't want to fight. Because if you're going to fight, you're going to go. But they're just standing there. They needed assurance from somebody to make them do what they do. So they start fighting and fighting. Now, the young man that has the hoodie on, he's getting beat down. It is what it is. He's getting beat down. So he can't take a beat down. What does he do? In his pocket, from his hoodie, he takes out a gun. Point blank, he shoots the dude in the chest 4 times. You could hear the girls recording, running off, screaming to the top of their lungs. Now, as I'm telling that story to the group I worked with, guess who was right here sitting next to me as I told that story? The 2 girls. The 2 girls. And they said, oh, can you stop? And I didn't know why, but I stopped. Then afterwards, the officer said, that's the 2 young ladies that was recording. But y'all instigated this. And the basketball game was over 2 hours prior to. So think about that. Think about the recording. It's not worth it, right? All right.
Introduce them to me.